and welcome to the LL Football Preview Show here on GameTimePA.com. I'm John Buffone, and with me is Andrew Callahan of the Lebanon Daily News, and we're here to break down the 3 playoff games involving LL teams this weekend. Andrew, we got 3 teams left. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty, and we're getting down to crunch time. The district championship appearances on the line, basically, here.
Yep.
Let's start in Quad A, where Hempfield will travel to Central Dauphin. This is a big matchup. Obviously, Hempfield off a big emotional win over Section 1 rival Manheim Township last week. They were able to turn Township over twice with interceptions. They ran the ball very well, 360 yards. Will Blair ran the ball well. Sam Kramer, the quarterback, ran the ball well. They have a lot of momentum going into this, but Central Dauphin, I mean, there's a reason they're the number 1 seed. They're the team that knocked off Wilson in the regular season, and they score points in bunches, and they don't allow very much either. I think around 16 points per game. What are the odds that the Black Knights can pull up another upset here?
I'm just going to say not very good and leave it at that. I think Central Dauphins, not only proven themselves to be the worthy number 1 seed of the regular season, but really start to finish in the class of Quad A. You mentioned just a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, up front, in the back end, and Hempfield, outstanding win against Township. I think they did all the things they wanted to in the regular season finale, ended up making up for it because, of course, you'd rather have that victory in the postseason. But right now, it's just too much on the other sideline. And no disrespect to the Black Knights, have had a very good season. But right now, I think you just got to favor Central Dauphin no matter how much they go up against.
Yeah, I think if Hempfield can control the ball, obviously, I mean, these are all cliches, and no,
what we're here for.
I'm not. This isn't the hottest of takes, but if they can control the line of scrimmage and try to also keep Central Dauphin's offense off the field, they have a chance to keep the game close and maybe have a chance. So potential for a good game with Hempfield and Central Dauphin. Obviously, Central Dauphin will be the favorite going into that one. Let's drop down to AAA, where Solanco, the darlings of Section 2, they are back at it this week. They will travel to Bishop McDevitt in a 1-4 matchup. Now, you could not have 2 different styles, more different styles here. Solanco obviously loves to pound the ball. They ran the ball for almost 500 yards against Lampeter Strasburg last week. And I've never seen a team that, and I've seen this throughout the entire year, Solanco, that sometimes they're in a close game at halftime, and then they just wear their opponents down in the second half. The second half, I don't know if it's necessarily adjustments. It's just that they're so well conditioned and they execute so well that they just seem to surge in the second half. But they're going to McDevitt, the perennial powerhouse in District 3. Multiple Division I talents on that team. A little more of an aerial attack. You have a big receiver in Kobe White, over 1,000 yards this year, 12 touchdowns through the air. Tavon Bowers, a quarterback, 34 touchdowns passing this year. So you're going to see a lot of contrast here. They say styles make fights. How do you see this one going on?
It's really tough to tell. I think there's no way you don't go out into this without feeling good for McDevitt. You mentioned all the reasons that you would say that aerial attack is going very well. They've got the pedigree to do so. But I think if you're Solanco, you just go into this game feeling loose. And it's not a sense of we don't have anything to lose, because I think this is a team that had high hopes coming into the season, deserved it, as we saw all throughout the regular season, and then coming into this playoffs has been the team that we expected. I mean, I personally expected that game with LS to be a little bit closer. Clearly, it was not the case. Blew the doors off the Pioneers as it went on. But you just got to play loose, because you know what you're going up against. But being so focused on them won't help. Once you step on that field, it's just going to be a matter of what got you here, and trying to ride with that. And if things don't go your way early, stick to the course, stick to the script, hope for a bounce, maybe try to steal a possession. But I think ultimately it's just being loose, because that's when you'll be at your best, and then you just kind of let the chips fall where they may.
Much like I said in the last matchup, I think it's more possible in this one for Solanco to try to keep McDevitt off the field because of the offense they run, and because they like to control the ball, and they do run the ball so effectively. They can try to limit McDevitt's offensive possessions. And after the game with LS last week, Solanco head coach Anthony Cox had this to say going into McDevitt.
It's going to be a road trip. Our kids are going to be excited. We're going to work hard in the weight room. I've seen them. I've watched them some, and I know they're a very physical team. They have a lot of athletes. So, our kids, again, have to step up and, stay focused on little things and just enjoy this win. And we start back up tomorrow morning, coaches.
So, obviously, it was a big win for Solanco, but they were already looking towards this game. As soon as they beat LS, the attention swung to McDevitt, and they're playing with a lot of confidence right now. So, I'm not going to say that I'm picking Solanco to just go in there and handle McDevitt, because that would be very silly to say. But they have a puncher's chance. I think that because of the style that they run and the kind of play that they've had throughout the year, there is a chance. let's go on to our last matchup. Staying in AAA, that would be Manheim Central taking on Susquehanna Township. The Barons, they've been playing very well. Like I said in the previous episodes, the offense is starting to gel at the right time because they've had so many injuries that have moved things around. They were able to go into their last game and run the ball very effectively. David Camacho had almost 200 yards. Cody Kegerice played efficiently through the air, defeating East Pennsboro. So they're going against the Susquehanna Township team, though, that has been steamrolling their way through the playoffs. They've outscored their opponents, I believe, 84-17 in the first 2 games. Score points in bunches. Manheim Central, though, we always talk about that pedigree. They always have a chance.
They really do, and it's going to be probably the toughest game to pick, I think, between the two. I mean, the Bears have been rolling, and they've been getting better as the season goes along. But you mentioned, point differential for me tells a bigger story sometimes than wins or losses, because for Susquehanna Township to do that in the first couple of rounds, I think it's been extremely impressive. Now, Manheim Central had a big blowout win in their first round, and as you mentioned, handled East Pennsboro as they intended to on the ground. But I think this is going to be a matter of who lands that first punch, because both teams have been used to these games going the way that they wanted to. And once you deviate from that script, how do you respond? I think both of them are well suited to do that in the regular season, as we saw Manheim Central great regular season finale win at Solanco. But now the playoffs is a different story. So when you're on that stage, how are you going to respond? Because these first 2 weeks have been easier, obviously, for both of them, and that shouldn't be the case this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be you get 2 teams that have been marching through the playoffs so far and haven't really. Not to say they haven't faced adversity throughout the regular season, but so far in the playoffs, not so much. So, like you said, it could come down to who sets the tone and lands that first big blow. Well, that about does it for the LL Football Preview Show this week. 3 big matchups, a trip to the District 3 Championship game on the line in all 3 of those games, so you're not going to want to miss them. For updates on all your favorite games, be sure to follow us on Twitter. Until next time, I'm John Buffone for Andrew Callahan. Enjoy the games this weekend.